The tragic incident in Ghaziabad involving three sisters who jumped from the ninth floor of their apartment building is a devastating example of how Indian teenagers are becoming vulnerable to digital predation, which is consuming young lives. The police investigation revealed that the sisters were deeply addicted to a Korean task-based game, or what is sometimes described as a Korean lover game. This application immersed them in a fantasy world where they adopted Korean names, believed they were living a different reality, and ultimately felt that they could no longer exist in their actual lives. Their suicide note apologized to their parents but stated they could not leave Korea, indicating a complete break from reality known as derealization. This tragedy highlights a terrifying intersection of post-pandemic isolation and predatory algorithmic grooming that parents and guardians must understand to prevent future loss. This tragedy stemmed directly from the sisters' prolonged addiction to a Korean task-based online love game that revolved around simulating romantic relationships inspired by K-pop and Korean dramas. The addiction began innocently enough during the pandemic-induced isolation when the sisters, like many teenagers, turned to mobile apps for entertainment and emotional connection amid boredom and restricted outdoor activities. They discovered the task-based game through social media or app recommendations tied to their growing fascination with Korean dramas and music. Initial stages involved simple engagements, daily check-ins, watching assigned videos, chatting with virtual characters portrayed as ideal romantic partners, and completing minor tasks that advanced the simulated storyline, providing rewards like affectionate messages or progress milestones. This built habitual dopamine responses, making the app a primary source of validation. As police and family accounts reveal, the middle sister emerged as the leader, coordinating their joint play and deepening the shared obsession. Over months, the tasks escalated incrementally, requiring more time commitment, staying up late for timed responses, prioritizing the game over chores or studies, and maintaining secrecy to avoid parental interference. By the middle stages, the addiction had fully disrupted their lives, as evidenced by the fact that all three had stopped attending school entirely since the pandemic. They withdrew socially, viewing the virtual Korean world as superior to reality, and experienced anxiety when access was threatened. Family members reported frequent reprimands over phone usage, but the girls resisted strongly, insisting on their attachment. The recent complete restriction on phones acted as an acute trigger, amplifying withdrawal symptoms and despair. The father later told media that forensic officials informed him the app's instructions on their phones pointed to escalating tasks, and he believed the previous day marked the final task, aligning with reports of such games culminating in self-harm directives framed as ultimate commitment to the virtual bond. Creators of these task-based games remain largely anonymous, often operating through unregulated apps or closed online communities that exploit adolescent vulnerabilities. While no specific developer has been identified in this case, the structure mirrors documented predecessors like the 2016 Blue Whale Challenge, curated by Philip Budekin, a Russian psychology student convicted for designing 50 escalating tasks ending in suicide. Budekin admitted his intent was to manipulate and push those he deemed weak towards self-destruction for personal power and societal cleansing. Similar malicious actors target isolated teens fascinated by foreign cultures using psychological grooming, affectionate build-up followed by threats of losing progress to foster dependency and obedience. In the Ghaziabad incident, the game's romantic framing tailored to K-drama fans amplified emotional investment, progressively eroding real-world ties until restricting access exposed the depth of manipulation, leading to the coordinated fatal act. This case illustrates how such games start as harmless escapism during vulnerable periods like lockdowns, build dependency through rewarding incremental tasks, isolate users by prioritizing virtual loyalty, and end in tragedy when compliance demands peak or access is severed, as seen in the sisters' final note and the timing after phone restrictions.